In order to be converted to Christ, we have to believe that God is so holy we can't get into His presence. People like you and me don't belong near the holiness of God. We are all cut off from His righteousness and His holiness. And people like you and me, we've all gone astray. We have all been mutilated by sin. We've all been broken and wounded. And yet, God has loved us so much, He has sent evangelists to come and preach to us the good news that was prophesied 700 years before this time, that Jesus was going to experience what a eunuch experienced so that we could experience the grace and the peace and the presence of God. That's the gospel. In this passage, it says that God laid upon Him the iniquity of us all. What does that mean? It's my Bible. Let's pretend it's not a Bible. Let's pretend it's a journal. Let's pretend it was a record book of every sin that you've ever committed. Okay? Now, if it was my book, it'd have to be a lot bigger than this one. But let's say that every time you sin, somebody journaled that. Like, yeah, I saw that attitude. Yeah, I saw that lustful thought. Yeah, I saw that, dishonesty. I saw that dishonor. Even deeper than that, I saw that idolatry. I saw that time you've, forgot to thank God for all the goodness, and you've complained, and you've actually tried to play God, and you've tried to get people to worship you, and all of those deep spiritual things. What if they were all written in this book? And let this hand represent God, and let this hand represent me. So here's me. There's my record book of sin. Notice, there's a barrier between me and God. What is it? The barrier is my sin. And Isaiah 53 says that God sent Jesus to become a man like me. And while Jesus was hanging on the cross, God laid upon Him the iniquity of all who would repent and believe. And Jesus took it and did away with it. And now God and I can come into personal relationship with one another, because God doesn't have a barrier between me and my sin. And so this is the good news of the gospel. And in order to be converted to Christ, we've got to come as a broken person.